Welcome back to another episode of the show, guys. With you is Ben, as always. Today I'm joined by Dom and Carey. Um, First of all, welcome to the show, guys.
Appreciate it, brother.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Me, Dom, and Carey have actually been through the ringer today trying to set this up and make it actually happen. This is pretty awesome that it actually came through. Um, they actually just started their own podcast called Beyond the Dispatch, which we're going to get to. Obviously, want to discuss it because just getting started. Already listened to the first two episodes. Super badass. You guys work really well together. You can definitely tell you're like best buddies, like from a long time ago, and
For sure.
it holds true. Secondly, you guys are like two of the nicest dudes I've met in this industry, so I can already tell it's going to go good.
I appreciate that, man. It's definitely
Yeah.
a good compliment.
You guys,
You don't know us that well then.
we're about to.
My wife tells me I'm a dick all the time.
We
Mine too.
we'll get started. I'll start with you, Dom. If you kind of want to go, and Carey, you can kind of jump into whenever. But where are you guys from originally? Like, where'd you grow up? And just that, originally where you're from. What was that all about, and where it led you to?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, technically, I can answer both of us because Carrie and I are both from Mokina, Illinois. Literally grew up like 4 houses down from each other. Known each other since 6 years.
3 houses, actually.
3 houses. We
Get it
literally
right.
known each other's motherfucker. Sorry. But yeah, so we literally grew up since like 6 years old. Like I've known this kid. And literally we just like grew up playing army in like the backyard. There's a graveyard by his house. So like we spent majority of our time there, man. And they had like an old cannon there that we used to like mess around with and use as like artillery pieces and all that good stuff.
We ran all around that neighborhood.
Yeah. Was it kind of like a suburb area, or was it like big long streets or something, or how?
Older suburb.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we lived in like the old part of town.
Yeah.
So
Was it typical like middle school, high school like type of vibes going on, like, or was it a little rougher? Was it a little nicer? Like how'd that go?
No, it was. We live in like a real quiet area, man. I think Mokina has like a population of the size of like 20,000, maybe. Um, but yeah, I mean, we pretty much knew everyone from like middle school to grade, like all that stuff. So even like to high school. Only time when we went to high school, we kind of joined like 2 different towns. So we graduated the class of like 1,000 kids.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, high school was big.
Yeah.
We were in like the working class area, and then the other town they were all white collar.
And then you hate those guys, right? You're like, yeah.
Right?
Is that? I'm sorry if I missed it. Mokina, is it outside of Chicago, or where's that at? Because you guys both sound like you kind of have that Midwest
sure.
accent. Yeah.
We're about 45 minutes south of Chicago.
Okay. Did what'd you guys do in high school? Like, was it just running around bullshitting, like sports or any of that stuff, or?
Yeah, we grew up like playing football, like from like 6th grade on to high school. I continued in high school. Carrie didn't. But yeah, we just typical shit, man. Like parties on the weekends, bonfires, stuff like that. I mean, we literally were almost in the sticks too. So you go to the next town south of us, it's like basically cornfields.
Yeah, 15-minute drive, you could be in the middle of nowhere.
Nowhere, yeah, for sure. So there's a few times like I've taken my Oldsmobile on like old farm roads, dude, and just gassed the fuck out of it. Almost killed ourselves a few times.
Oh yeah. We my town it's 500, so like, but I can attest to that. Like we would do we called it back road, and you just everybody hop in a truck, you pick up some girls or whatever, and some beer or whatever. You drive for like hours nowhere on these gravel roads, but we would go to parties that were out in the middle of nowhere, and we would meet all these kids from those towns that were like, they're like north of us or south of us. Like we called them city kids, but it's so funny because like I now growing up, you're like 20,000's not that many people. That's a small town. So it's like,
Yeah,
Super
right.
small.
yeah. So like, it's always funny seeing them come down and they're like, yeah, it's good.
But 45 people, that's like having my homeroom class.
Right.
We had like, it was like 10, 20 people in each class. So it was, yeah, it was. And then I
So
went
like
to
you guys like knew everybody then, like to the
what?
T.
So I went to Catholic school from kindergarten to 8th grade. They actually have a Catholic school in the town. And
Okay.
from 3rd grade, I think, to 8th grade, it was me and one other girl in the grade. And that was it. And they combined us with the grade below us and like taught us together. So, and
No
that was only
shit.
3 people at the end. It was like 3 people. So,
So your
yeah,
graduating class was like 3 people.
yeah, it was I mean, it was crazy.
That's awesome.
And,
That's awesome.
yeah,
Jesus.
I mean, I still know everybody in that town. And is it like,
It's too big. I've only
That's
got 2 gas stations and no grocery store in my town.
oh, there you go.
that,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
you
That's
pay
crazy. My
twice
dream.
at the gas station. You just get your groceries there, but it's like $8 for a bag of chips. It's good.
Good
Yeah,
old
right.
good old Casey's, baby.
Oh yeah, they're everywhere there.
Love it.
Oh yeah.
What so you guys, like, how was family life for you guys?
For me, I came from like a big Italian family, man. So my family life was like hectic in the sense of like we're always busy. And you go to a family party, it's everyone's screaming, no one can get a word in edgewise, so you got to be pretty fucking loud. So growing up, like I was the baby of both sides of my family. Not well, my mom and my aunt, we were really close with like her kids. So I meant like that. On my dad's side, there's someone younger than me, but yeah, man. So like if I was at a family party, I was always the youngest one there. So I was always like super fucking quiet.
Yeah. What
And he
about you,
was always
Carey?
treated. He was always treated like the baby too. He was the favorite.
Ooh.
uh, I grew up. I didn't really have cousins. Really, I had a couple on my mom's side that I wasn't close to. My dad's side, shoot, my first cousin was born in 2002, so 11-year
Damn.
difference. Which is wild because my dad's one of seven, and we were all real close. Like that whole family all stuck around the same area, so it was pretty much like every weekend was an impromptu party on that side. Just somebody would drive by, see someone's car over at the house. We were in like a real central location, so it was a lot of times at our place. But it was fun, man. Like I came from a working class family, kind of like what I was saying about the town. So it was just a typical like Midwestern upbringing. Never pushed college, never pushed, anything, just work and make a living for yourself.
Yeah, I think that's missed on a lot of like society now is like that bond of cousins and uncles and aunts that were like crazy and had these crazy ass stories. They're probably drinking a little too much. They're telling just the most obnoxious shit, or they say something weird to you as you get in your, like, oh yeah, they're oh no, that's my it's
I was literally gonna say you described a rugby party.
yeah. No, my family up in St. Louis, we weren't able to because I lived out in the sticks, like I said. So like we would only go up for like the big ones. The what is it? Christmas, Thanksgiving, and Easter. Everybody gets together, real big parties.
Yeah, right, right.
But it would be like all day at split like morning to noon at one family, and then noon to 8 or 9 at another family's. And it's exactly like you talked about. All the cousins are playing together. All the uncles and aunts are all together. It's kind of like what Dom said though. We didn't really have the Italian aspect, but everyone's yelling and they get in stupid arguments. That's so fun though. That's so fun to be around, and then it kind of dissipates a little bit as you get older. Um,
For sure.
yeah. What where do you guys go from there?
I mean, so he talked about he went Coast Guard. I went right into working. I knew college wasn't for me, and I didn't think I was going to get into the military, which I wanted to do. I grew up chronic asthmatic, so I was like,
Oh, okay.
well, they told me if I lie about that, it's a federal crime. So I was afraid to lie about it. Uh, so I went into workforce and just did kind of odd jobs for a while.
Carey's
All trades.
he is. He's a jack of all trades, fucking gearhead. Dude's a fucking carpenter. Fucking did it all, man. He's a stud. Don't let him fool you.
Dudes like that are underestimated, dude, because they get all these skills. Like I did that too. I successfully failed out of college my first year, so then like I worked a bit before I joined the Army, but like I didn't do it as much. It sounds like Carey, you were doing a lot of those different types of jobs. That's handy. Fix that shit. Call him. Sometimes they're dog shit jobs, but you still get through it and stuff. So it's like,
oh
Yeah, right.
Carey was like a good old boy too in high school. So like him and I would be in his backyard just like drinking, fucking sitting by a fire, and then we get a call from one of our friends. They went fucking off roading. They got stuck. So Carey and I just jump in his fucking old Silverado. Was it a Silverado? No, it was a S10.
No, it was a 79 C10.
hell yeah. My best friend had a C10 like that. Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
It's the single cab. It's huge though. Yeah.
Oh, so I had the day cab with the short bed. So
Oh yeah.
350. It was only 2-wheel drive, but man, that truck, she could get around.
Oh yeah.
Bright fucking yellow, dude. Anytime we ever did anything in that fucking truck, they knew who it was.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah. Loud and yellow.
Yeah, so they would call us, and him and I were just like, nah, fuck it, let's go. We jump in the truck, grab some chains, and start pulling people out of the fucking ditch and shit. It was great fucking thing. He'd spin his fucking tires. You just fucking smell burning rubber.
Yep.
Fuck yeah. You know, you said I couldn't keep that track, and most people on here, they probably haven't listened to it yet. So you got out and you immediately went to the Coast Guard, or how'd that work?
No. So I did a few stints. I almost went into the Marines. This is like almost like junior, senior year. My mom fucking had a conniption. Long story. I got a tattoo instead of going in the Marines, and then high school finished. I went to do my EMT. Went through the whole EMT thing, and it was just like something was like missing because my dad was in the Army. His dad was in the Army. My great grandfather was on the Arizona, so he was in World War I. And then I'm pretty sure my grandpa's brothers were in the Army. So we just come from like a long line of like military background. So I always had that yearning to serve. And that's when I was like, fuck it, I'm going to the Coast Guard because I wanted to go law enforcement. And I didn't have college. I'm not like a college kind of guy.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Carey's the same way.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck it. Like I'm going to get 4 years of military experience, went to the Coast Guard, did drug interdiction in the Caribbean, which was a fucking great time. And also, actually, I'll send you some of the photos. I got some photos of me on a throne of cocaine.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
we'll put those up. They'll be up. Don't worry.
Yeah, for sure. I'll send them right over. And then after that, I was a project manager for a little bit, and then that's when I went into law enforcement.
What did the Coast Guard? I mean, obviously you did the drug interdiction, and I know you said you kind of did some running up in South Chicago.
Yep.
Did that prepare you for law enforcement? You think pretty well, or no?
In a sense, I mean, you always get like that military bearing from like basic training, right? That probably helped me grow up a lot. So I think yes, in a sense of like maturing wise, but not for law enforcement work. We did drug interdiction. We did like basic boardings and shit in Chicago, but it was more like, do you have your life vest? Do you have your flares? Do you have this? Do you have that? And we did a few like boating under the influences or stuff like that, but it wasn't anything close to like what law enforcement truly is.
Sure.
Don't let them lie to you. All they did in Chicago was stare at the women sunbathing.
We did that as well.
Miss, you're putting on that sunscreen wrong.
let me give you a hand.
Yeah.
And then they go, "Oh, where are you from? Or what are you in?" And he goes, "Coast Guard." And then they're like,
"Oh, they would know.
Get the fuck out of here!"
Bright yellow, a bright orange boat pulling up.
Yeah. What Carey, you know you did that for a while. Like he's doing that. You're doing just odd jobs or working, getting experience. What did you guys stay in contact pretty well like that, or like during that time?
Oh yeah. We kind of always stayed in touch. I don't want to say we like drifted apart, but it was more so just like life paths were going in certain ways. I was in a relationship that was horrible. It was an only child, and she commanded all of my time. So I kind of drifted away in that aspect. then I would say after that, we kind of started really reconnecting more. And really throughout, like we've always talked, but throughout this whole process, kind of like once both of us went through our ordeals, it's turned into, being like kids again, where we're talking every day.
Sure. Well, that I'm sure it only compounds when you both go through some type of, major life happening. That also builds that relationship for sure.
Oh, for sure. And I think a big portion of it too is just being in different portions of our lives or different stages of our lives at this point. Things for me have like calmed down on the home front. It's stable and easy, and he's going through his stuff. He's not so wrapped up in the PED, not wrapped up, but like, working the nights and things like that. It's a little bit easier for us to talk.
Yeah. Dom, you during that you get done at Coast Guard, you said you transitioned basically to or you got out, you kind of what happened in that transition out? Cuz I tried listening to it, and I was trying to understand cuz I knew you went to the law enforcement, but there was a gap there, right, where you did project management?
Yeah, so I was transitioning out. It was like my last year. I started testing for a bunch of police departments, bunch of like fire departments, stuff like that, because I had a mortgage at the time. I got engaged. I was getting married, so I was like panicking in the sense of like, oh fuck, what am I gonna do? Kind of like if people who are getting out of the military realize like, oh shit, I don't really have a backup plan. And the current police department I work for, I tested very high, but I haven't heard anything from them in like a year, and I was high up on the list. So I went through that moment of like, fuck, what am I going to do? So my mom actually sent me this link. It was like Boots to something. I can't remember what it was, but it was a program from like a local country station was putting on where they would have you come on their radio station and they just ask you a bunch of questions, like what your qualifications are. And I got on the show and they put me on. So they're like, what do you want to do? I'm like, literally anything. Anything I could put my boots on, fucking tie those puppies up and get to work. Like, I don't care. And literally that day, this guy called me. He's like, hey, man, do you want to be a project manager for this company in Frankfurt? I'm like, fuck yeah, man. Like, I'm in. So it's like kind of like that whole like fake it till you make it, right? Where I go to interview, I try to pad my resume as much as I possibly can because I don't have any experience in project managing.
Right.
But he liked me, and I think he was more of like I was organized and squared away at the time. So it was one of those things like, hey, we'll hire this guy, pay him cheap, and then we'll train him. So I was basically making about the same as I was in the Coast Guard with BAH and all that stuff. So it worked out perfectly for me.
I think I just had a buddy who transitioned out. He was infantry, did 10 years, 11 years, something like that, and he just got out and immediately hopped into a job like that where he didn't have any of the experience because he's fucking infantry. They paid for him to go to project management, professional stuff, but he also they just put him on projects and they're like, you obviously know how to like just take care of shit. That's all you got to do half the time. So
just be squared away, right? Just be organized, be squared away. I think they like that. I think they like that military mindset where you don't shy away from when things hit the fan. What's up?
Hey, baby. Here you go.
That's so sweet.
She's my little guest.
How old?
Bye, baby. She's 2.
Is she your 4-year-old?
She'll be
2.
She'll be 3 in May. Yeah.
Love it. That's a good age.
My wife is 5'11" and I'm 6'2". So they're all just like massive, like in their grades. They're the tallest kid, and and I'm a big dude. I'm just a big dude in general. So they're all. It's good. little guest spot. Yeah.
100%.
But
100%. So yeah, I think they like that aspect of it where they know you can handle yourself in stressful situations, and then you're also organized, you're squared away. So I think that's like a big thing they look for, because like a lot of these college kids or a lot of these kids that are coming into this workforce now, like they never really had a real job where they had to like buckle down and put their nose to the grindstone type thing.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of just hit or miss jobs and stuff like that. Carey, you're hitting all these jobs, and then where does that take you? Because I know it took you in a different direction eventually. How'd that road go for you?
So I kind of always had that plan of like military or first responder. I have ties to the fire service. My grandpa was a Chicago fireman, so I grew up hearing stories about it and pretty much fell in love with it, right? But I found out you had to be a paramedic to do it,
Yeah.
and I didn't have any interest in being a paramedic. I was kind of like, medical stuff, like, no, thank you. So that's how I went down the road of the different odd jobs. I was a mechanic, worked a couple part-time jobs, and then I got a job as an insulator. I was a carpenter with them. Absolutely miserable. Well, my 21st birthday comes along, and Dominic here, I invite him out with a couple of friends, and it ended
You're
up
good,
being
man.
on a the. I'm just laughing because she is adorable.
She is.
Well,
Go,
little strawberry
go
blonde,
downstairs.
or is that straight redhead?
No, it's strawberry blonde. It's actually transitioning. Everybody gets so
Yeah.
distracted by her. Go downstairs,
God,
baby.
she's cute.
Yeah, she she captures everybody.
That's so funny.
Yeah. No, you're
So
yeah.
so my 21st birthday comes along, and I invite Dominic out and a couple friends. It was on a Wednesday, and we go to this bar, and it's yeah. I'm like, yeah, we just have a couple drinks, you know.
Yeah.
My uncle bought me like a 30 rack of PBR, so I was already starting with that. And
Oh Lord.
we go out, and it was what was it, $3 you call it that night?
Yeah.
And unbeknownst to me, Dominic invited a bunch of people up. So I had a lot of people buying me shots
Hell
and
yeah.
just other stuff. Needless to say, I got completely hammered, threw up in a like patio heater in the back of this place. Had a buddy drive me home, forced me to drink red Gatorade, which I puked all over the white tile bathroom floor, and didn't wake up until about 3 p.m. the next day. I never called in. I intended to go to work. I did not.
Sure.
And I got fired.
Oh fuck.
Yeah. So fast forward a couple months, I got a job at a private ambulance driving wheelchair vans, and they were offering EMT classes. I was trying to get into the military at this point because I said, I'm just going to lie about asthma.
Yeah. As
And,
everyone does.
Yeah, right. So I was going down that route. I ended up not working out with the military. It was through like Obama's, where he was cutting the military, so
Yeah.
recruitment numbers were super low. And I had some just absolute bullshit on my record. So I decided I didn't want to be a carpenter or a veterinarian assistant in the Army. And I tried the Navy. They wouldn't give me a waiver. So at that point, I was already in EMT school, and I said, "That's it. My mind's set. Like I've actually fallen in love with the medical stuff. I'm going to pursue this." So did that. Got my medic. Absolutely hated working for a private ambulance. So I called up my buddy that was a foreman. Said, "Hey," did that for a couple of years and continued testing for fire departments. Finally got hired in 2019. I guess 2018. I got hired part time, and then 2019 I got hired full time.
Okay.
And then I did that for 3 years before I hurt my back, and that was all she wrote. Now it's on to the next chapter.
Yeah.
So drinking with me got you into the fire service, huh?
Pretty much.
Basically,
You're
yeah.
welcome.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Yeah,
you're welcome.
Yeah.
I'll go, Carey. I want to cover that first because it's kind of fresh. What? So
Okay.
you said your back injury. What happened exactly, if you don't mind?
Do I have to talk about it?
No.
Dude, it's so stupid. I was on an ambulance run. I was in the back on paper. It was just a run-of-the-mill chest pain. We were en route to the hospital. We had to drive a far way to the hospital. I mean, far for out here. But we had a bit of a drive to the hospital, and usually you get some report stuff done. So I was sitting in the captain's chair, typing my report, and we hit like a dip in the road,
Oh damn.
and that was it. We hit it doing like 50. So I kind of like felt myself unload from the seat and slam back down into the seat, kind of like when you're doing like going over tracks real fast.
Yeah.
And it was like instant fire up my back and down my leg, and
Oh
it just
shit.
herniated a disc. Yeah, just something that's stupid and simple. Herniated a disc.
It's crazy something like that though can cause that much, but I know what you're talking about, especially that's a lot of compression coming down. I mean, that's crazy.
I don't know. The only thing I could think is, my posture was probably goofy because I was working on my paperwork. I don't know. I don't know. I hate telling it because it's like I wish I had a better story. Like, oh yeah, I was pulling a kid out of a fire and fell down a ladder. Like, but no, it's just this on
Well,
an ambulance run, which is where almost all injuries happen.
dude, I'll tell you this much, like they do like the VA compensation, right? People, at least you're not faking it, right? Like that shit truly happened. There's so many people out there that like they do 2 years and then they get 80 to 100% because they say the army destroyed them with no deployments or anything. And they're truly like
Yeah.
just sitting around all day, but then magically they're in terrible pain all day, every day. So
Right. Right.
don't discredit yourself for that, man. Like you're just
I,
doing
I
your
mean,
job.
I've got the 2 surgeries to prove it, so I got
Right.
something.
Exactly. Damn.
He did also fall off a roof.
Well,
I
that could
did.
cause a lot of shit too, Carey. Damn.
Oh, that happened a year prior.
Oh, okay. Either
Yeah, it was
way,
during training evolution. Fell fucking right off. Got top wrong, dude. Guy at the bottom wasn't holding his fucking ladder properly and went all the way down.
and
Yeah.
that could have triggered something too. Like
Yeah.
it may not have been the crack, but it may have been the start of a crack, which it
Yeah. I
it
don't know.
sucks.
Fuck,
All,
man.
all,
Picking up
all,
kids' toys off the ground sometimes you can blow out your back.
Dude,
oh yeah, dude.
I picked my daughter up one day, like that 2-year-old. I picked her up to take her upstairs, and I went, oh, and I set her back
Yeah.
down because it just you never know when it's gonna hit.
That I felt that before. We were like, no,
Oh yeah,
no, not again.
Dom. Jump back to you. So you went through something pretty not similar, I guess, but you also went through ordeal. So you're on the police force. What goes down there? Like, tell me about your career a little bit with that, and then
About my career
What,
or the
what
shooting?
the career, and then what led to that?
Yeah, for sure. So I got called from my police department. They're like, hey, we want you. Went through the whole testing process, poly, background check, medicals, all that stuff. Left construction, went into police world, went through the academy, got back to the police department, did my whole FTO, then went to the street. When I was in the street, I had a few crazy encounters. I did get stabbed by a knife wielding psycho. She was a sweet old lady. That's a whole story in itself.
That's good. Oh.
Yeah. So that was like my intro, like my first day by myself. Went to a call. It was a wellness check. Knocked on the door. She was waiting there. She came to the door finally. She tried to like entice me to come in. I was like, no, like just open the door. So as soon as she opened the door, she grabbed like a kitchen knife, like those like long kitchen knives,
Oh fuck.
and just like dude just like jumped at me with it, slammed the door shut. She takes the tip of the blade where my face is, and she's like scratching the glass, and she's like, "I'm gonna fucking kill you." I'm like, "I believe you 100%." So please put that down. So,
Oh my god.
oh yeah, man. So we went making entry. He was breaching the front door, fell into the door, and she was just like standing there with like a gas can and a lighter, and she was trying to light it on fire. So she was trying to like torch us all up in flames. So
Yeah.
the guy that fell in has like the door frame around his shoulders, and he goes and knocks it out of her hand. And then she grabs like that knife again, and she like slashes at him with it. It comes across his chest, and I'm like, dude, he just got fucking stabbed. So my sergeant is in front of me with a shield, and I lean over his shoulder and I deploy my taser, dude. I hit her square, and she just looked at me like, "Let's fucking party." And I'm like, "She's a one tough chick, dude." So I'm holding this thing down, dude. I'm holding the taser down. I'm juicing her. She's not doing anything. So I'm like, forget it. So I throw my taser down and I go to grab her. Well, when I grab her, I grab a probe, and then it just starts going. I'm getting juiced up my left arm. I'm getting tased. My sergeant is wrapped up in my wires. There's a break in the wire, so he's getting tased, and she's not. So we finally get her to the ground. He gets on top of her with the shield. She's on the ground. She's trying to stab him around the shield. Still, she was like one tough chick, man. One tough chick. So we finally get her hooked up and headed out. But on the way down, when I grabbed her, the knife went into my left arm. So I saw the knife. It was dirty as fuck. And all I kept thinking is like, I have AIDS. I have AIDS. I have
Yes.
AIDS. I have AIDS. Like repeatedly in my brain, like I have AIDS now. So afterwards, my buddy like dragged me out of the house. He like ripped open my shirt, and it was like a small little cut. It wasn't anything
okay.
big, but that was like my intro into law enforcement, like my first day by myself.
That's fun. That sounds
Great
like
time.
a great
Great
trip.
time.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So after that, I had a bunch of great calls. And then I tore my labrum, apprehending a domestic violence offender. So I had to do surgery. Went through all that recovery. Tested for SWAT. Got onto our SWAT team because it's like a county
Sick.
SWAT. Right. So I was on SWAT, and then the investigation spot opened up. So I jumped into Dick's as a detective, and then I did that for about 3 years. And then our tax spot, which is like guns and drugs and gangs and all that stuff, opened up with like one of my really good friends. And he's like, dude, you should put in for it. I'm like, buddy, it's like a demotion. Like, how can I do that? And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Because like I have to do like 30 years, and I'm only like at that time 6 years into my
Oh
career.
wow,
like,
yes, you've done
right.
it. Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not sitting behind a desk my whole life. Like I still need to be out on the street. So
Yeah.
I put in for it, got it, and then fuck man, 3 weeks later I get shot in the face. It was a great time.
I want to hear the shot in the face story, obviously.
For sure.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this little pause.
Let's get it. Yeah, so I can't talk about the case because it's still ongoing. I can talk about the moment I get shot and on from there if you'd like. For sure. So
Long story short, he sucks at dodging bullets.
really bad. I know. Dude, I watched a shit ton of dodgeball. I ducked, I dived, I dodged, and it didn't really work out. Next time I gotta run like this. So, all right, where do we begin? Let's talk about it. So, last thing I remember, I was like sprinting down a sidewalk, and everything just goes black. And I just remember kind of like, if you've ever been choked out, this is the best way I can really explain it to you. Is if you've ever been like choked out or knocked out or anything like that, you kind of like are in that dream state. Does that make sense? So everything's still black, and I'm like in this dream state, and all I kept like is a sensation of like just like blood or like kind of like a snot like rolling down your throat like constantly. You're just like choking on it. So I woke up like drowning in my own blood, and all I kept thinking is, grab your gun, get your fucking gun. And all I hear is my partner Jimmy fucking grab me and starts dragging me. And I can feel like my arm like being like dragged, and like my hand, like I don't know if I'm imagining it or if that's how it really happened, but I feel like my hand like let go of my gun. And I kept saying like, get my gun, but all I heard was, or I'm sure, or he heard when I listened to the body cam, it was just like gargled like so so he's like, you're good, I got you, you're good. He starts ripping my vest off, asking me where I'm hit. I'm like, dude, I don't fucking know. All I kept thinking is like, flip me over, I can't breathe. Flip me over because I'm on my back. I'm like, flip me over, I can't breathe. I want to clear my airway. So when he finally does, I'm flipped over. I go on my hands in the street, and I just blood just dripping out of my mouth like a faucet. And all I kept thinking to myself is, fuck, this isn't good. This isn't fucking good. And yeah, right. So then all I heard was Jimmy like, get the fucking car. And then the other officer runs, grabs the car, pulls up in a Honda Civic because he can't find our car keys. He can't find our squad keys. He can't find the other guy is still chasing after the suspect or offender. And he just picks me up and they just throw me in this small ass Honda Civic. And I'm kind of like you, dude. Like I'm 6'1". I was 240 pounds at the time. My partner, he's like 6'3", 6'4". 260. We're two big dudes, and we're in the back of this Honda Civic, and we just take off down the fucking road, man.
Damn.
And we're still hanging out of the back of the fucking Honda. He's trying to fucking find out where, he's trying to do first aid. He's trying to find out where I'm hit. He's trying to communicate with me, and I'm kind of like drifting in and out of consciousness at this time. And all I kept thinking to myself at that point, because I know I'm losing blood and I know I'm in bad shape, and all I kept thinking about was, you got to keep fucking breathing. You got to keep fucking breathing.
Yeah.
You got to keep breathing for your fucking kid. And all I kept thinking about was my son, Luca. And I remember like putting my hand up on the window and like smearing it down because like I'm just trying to fucking focus. And that's when I hear Jimmy fucking yell, "Go fucking faster!" And he just flips open. All you hear is like a snap of a knife, right?
Yeah.
Like, that distinctive snap.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh fuck, this dude's gonna cut me!" He just starts cutting like my clothes off.
Oh, okay.
And dude, when I tell you we're going like 100 miles an hour, we're going like 100 miles an hour. And he sees my back, like he assesses and sees it's just like a little weep hole out of my back right shoulder. So what had happened was the bullet went in just underneath my chin, that soft part underneath your tongue.
Yeah.
Just missed my chin bone, went in through my throat, hit my hyoid bone. It hit my C5, fractured my C5, severed my vertebral artery on the right side, and then exit out the top of my right shoulder over here. So
what a weird shot.
Oh man, I got lucky too. It had to have been a ball, because if it was a hollow point, I would have been fucked.
Yeah, yeah.
So we almost died literally like 5 times on the way to the hospital. We almost get T-boned by, first we're hanging out of the car. We almost get T-boned by a fucking semi truck. And then on the way to the hospital, there's like a slight turn in the road. And if you hit it too fucking fast, you'll fly off the road and into a pond. So we almost do that. Fucking finally get there, dude. Jimmy runs around. He's screaming, "Get the fucking stretcher, get the fucking stretcher," because all there is like a small nurse, like 5'1", soaking wet, maybe 195 pounds. And there's no way she's dragging my big ass into the hospital, dude.
Right.
So he opens the door, and as soon as he opens the door, dude, I face plant, boom, straight into the fucking ambulance bay. And that's the only time when I actually spoke clearly. He's like, "Hey," he's like, "Dom, how you doing, buddy? How you doing?" And I'm like, "Living the fucking dream, Jimmy. Just living the dream."
Of course.
So they finally get me up on the stretcher, and then they bring me into the operating room. And I went to a drug conference like a month before, and we heard from the St. Louis guy, the copper who had gotten into a shooting, got shot in the leg. He did a guest speak, and he got shot. And when he brought him to the hospital, he made a fucking wisecrack of like, "Oh, don't worry, ladies. Usually I'm not this small. It's just the loss of blood." So like that was like going through my mind, because that's like my type of sense of humor.
Yeah.
So I tried to like say it, but I'm just like gargling in my fucking blood.
Jesus.
Yeah, dude. All I heard is like, get us. We need blood stat. Give me O negative right now. And I'm thinking to myself, "Oh fuck, dude, I'm O positive. Don't give me O positive or O negative." But later on, I'm like, I realized my
universal.
Yeah, universal, right?
Yeah.
But my mind, I'm fucking. I can't even string a sentence together. So, but yeah, then I blacked out, and then I woke up in the hospital with I was intubated. And they woke me up to see like how I was responding, and my mom's there, my wife's there, and they're talking to me, and they're like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And all I kept saying is, "Get this out of my fucking throat." So I kept saying, I was like, "Get."
Yeah.
Because I couldn't. It was like very restricting, and I was like, "I can't breathe. I can't breathe." And I went to sleep not being able to breathe. I woke up not being able to breathe. So it was kind of like a total fake out moment. So yeah, man. So it was a long road after that, dude. So they woke me back up. They took out the tube, and I just projectile vomited blood everywhere. Everywhere. And dude, they had me hyped up on so much fucking drugs, ketamine, all that stuff. I was like on another planet, man. So yeah, that was the start of my long recovery.
Yeah. Carey, did you hear about this like pretty quickly, or was it like kind of a while before it got brought up to you?
Yeah, actually, so I woke up to get the kids ready. I had physical therapy that day. I was in the middle of work hardening, trying to get back to the job.
Yeah.
And I woke up, and I had a text from a mutual friend of ours that we also grew up with. And he's like, "Hey, I just saw on Facebook there was a cop shot in Romeoville." He's like, "Have you heard from Dominic?" I'm like, "Fuck, like, no, I don't talk to him every day. Like, we talk pretty frequently, but I haven't heard from him this morning." So I'm like, "Well, last I heard, he was like still doing the detective side. He was thinking about going to tax side. You know, it was overnight. It shouldn't be him. So I'll send him a text. So I shot him a text, and it was very much so like, hey, heard a Romeoville cop got shot. Like, you guys doing okay? Never thinking it was him.
Yeah.
And I kind of went on with my morning, didn't hear anything, and I was trying to find more information on it, couldn't find anything. And it got to a point where I was like, all right, like she should have responded at this point. Something's up. So I was talking to my wife, and she's like, just shoot his wife a message, you know. And I'm like, shit, I don't have her number. So I looked her up on social media, I think it was, or maybe she was in my phone, I can't remember. And I shot her a message, and I'm like, hey, like, haven't heard from Dom. Kind of getting concerned. Is everything all right? And I didn't hear anything from her, and that's when I was like, okay, like maybe it was him.
Yeah.
So she ended up texting me like a couple hours later or whatever, and she's like, hey, it was Dom. He's alive. He's intubated. We don't know what his status was. And my heart just fucking sank.
Yeah.
Because like, you can't even fathom that, you know? It's like,
No, it's your best.
yeah,
It's one of your
yeah,
best
you know,
friends. You're like, what the hell?
right, right. Well, and it's not like you get a text like, hey, your buddy was in combat in Afghanistan and got hit. You're like, oh, okay, like I could see that. It's like, no, he was in a suburban town as a cop and got like, yeah, it's kind of a seedy suburban town, but you don't expect that news.
Yeah.
Just like the odds of it all and everything, it was like, holy shit. But yeah, so then it like, I don't know, a couple days later, I finally heard from him. We were going to go visit him in the hospital, but I'm like, if I know anything, Dominic doesn't want all these people around him.
Yeah.
Like, he wants his family there and doesn't want outsiders. So I'm like, I'm gonna give him his space. Like, wait for him to text me. Like, I felt bad. I had such an urge to go up there, but I also know how I'd be, and it'd be like, please don't visit me. Just like let me fucking sit here for a little
Right.
bit. Let me get home. But
Damn. So that's a giant, pivotal point for y'all. Carey, you're already working on your physical therapy and stuff, trying to recover from all that. Dom, you obviously said the road was long and hard. So where does that put you guys at that point? Like, were you able to go back to the force, Dom? Carey, I know you at that point. Are you not able to return to the the
so
department or?
I mean, for me, it wasn't long after that we found, we found out I still had all sorts of nerve issues with my back. So, my road started to take that turn at that point. And I know Dominic and I had quite a few conversations about what road he was going to take, once he was not intubated and able to talk again.
When he had a tube in it out of his mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? How'd you lead to your decisions after that, Dom? What kind of led you to, or where did it take you?
Yeah, man. So when I talked to the doctors, they told me they'll never be able to reattach the vertebral artery to the right side of my brain. So that's always going to be a deficit. So I'm at a greater risk for stroke and heart attack now, which is always something you want to hear at 33 years old.
Yeah.
32 at the time. But yeah, man, it was a tough pill to swallow. I always fully intended on coming back, and I kept telling everyone in the hospital, like, I'm fucking coming back. Like, don't count me out. Like, I'm coming back. I didn't know the status of my right arm. I know I had nerve damage to my right arm because the bullet hit the brachial plexus of my right shoulder, which controls the nerve bundle that controls my right arm. So I couldn't even lift my hand above my head. And I literally, for months, I had to like pick up my arm just to put it on the table, dude. So I didn't know the damage. They wanted to wait for all the swelling and trauma down in my neck before they can make an assessment. I got hooked up with, this surgeon out of Northwestern Illinois, Chicago, phenomenal, Dr. Ko. He's probably one of the best in the country.
Yeah.
I did a consultation with him, talked to him, and he's like, all right, this is what we're going to do. He's like, we're going to take the nerve from your lat. We're going to take the nerve from your tricep, one of your triceps. We're going to take the nerve possibly from one of your forearm muscles, and we're going to reattach it to your deltoid. If your nerve root, because when they did an MRI, the nerve root was so cloudy, they couldn't see, they thought it was badly damaged. They were going to take a nerve from my leg and then reinforce it to my neck. So when they take the nerve, your muscle just dies. So I'm thinking to myself, fuck, man, like I'm never going to be able to use my right arm again. I'm going to look disfigured because you could tell, especially if you start to like work out again, lift weights, there's definitely noticeable things that go on. So when I left the hospital, I looked like Skeletor on my right side. My left arm was still kind of like beefy, and my right shoulder just like my shoulder socket. You could see all the bones in my shoulder, all the bones in my fucking back. All that stuff was disgusting. So it really plays on your psyche, and it really fucked me up. And that's all I kept thinking is like I'm going to be fucked up for the rest of my life. And at that point, I decided I'm no longer playing the fucking victim. I'm not doing this victim mentality bullshit, and I'm going to get after it. So whatever it takes is what I'm going to do. So when the doctor, I told the doctor, I'm like, hey, do what you have to do, but please don't take my lat because the lat's like it's such a massive muscle. I'm going to look disproportionate, and it was like fucking with my mind. So he did a nerve exploration of my C5, and he saw that it was just caked in scar tissue. So he told me, he's like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to see if we can get by with just taking your tricep and nothing else, and then we'll go from there. I'm like, listen, dude, you're a fucking expert. You know what you're doing. Do what you got to do. So he's like, this should be like a 5-hour surgery. Well, it took 10 hours. So he went in, cut me open, cut the scaling muscle in my neck permanently. It will never be back. He cut my pec minor to open up the flow, open a pathway in my forearm and my elbow, and noticed that the C5 root was actually not in that bad of damage. So he left it, and all he did was took a portion of my tricep, and you'll be able to see it compared to my left arm. But so there's a portion of my tricep missing, and he took it and rewired it to my deltoid. So they cut me from here all the way down to my elbow. Yep, just to do the nerve transfer.
And put that in, yeah. Damn.
So yeah, so he saved my lat, he saved the muscle in my forearm, he saved the muscle in my leg. And then after the surgery, this dude flew out to Korea to give a conference in South Korea. Like that's how like well known this guy is, and he's doing like studies now to this day of his nerve transfers. So after the surgery, he's like, "Go nuts." He's like, "Go to the gym, go nuts." He's like, "Don't go crazy with it, but like get after it." And I took that as a personal challenge, and then I would go to the gym for 2 hours a day, and then go to physical therapy right after, and be there for another hour. I would just started grinding it out. And I didn't give myself a chance to like feel sorry for myself. I didn't give myself a chance to be like, woe's me or anything like that. And I just buckled down, man. And I started building my shoulder back. And I went from like 6 pounds to 7 pounds to 10 pounds. I was literally doing bench with like a 65 pound in my left hand. And I would do like a 20 pound in my right hand. And I was just like working it out nonstop. And I'm probably at maybe 85% strength in my right shoulder. I literally did not expect that to happen. So it was a long, grueling road, man, and I'm still kind of just starting to get back. I still get nerve pain all the time in my right arm. But I came to the realization of going to the doctor, the stroke neurologist, and he's like, hey, man, he's like, don't go to any chiropractors. Don't go on any roller coasters, because if you do, he's like, there's a really good chance you could have a stroke and die. So I'm like, all right, doc, well, how's this going to play with me going back to full duty? I'm like, what if I'm in a pursuit and I get T-boned? He's like, well, you could have a stroke. I'm like, all right, well, what if I'm like fighting with a suspect again and he grabs me around the neck and cuts off the left side of my brain? He's like, you could have a stroke and die. So like what you're saying is I need to step away. He's like, right. And my wife was with me, and that's basically what it was. And I went through a whole like depression period with that, man, where it's like, what do you do? Do you risk it and get the doctor to try and sign off on it? And I was like, hey, maybe this is like a sign that I need to step away for good. And that's when I made the decision and put my paperwork in a year later.
Good. I mean, not good, but at least you were able to recognize that and take care of it,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Cut it out, Bo. Go downstairs. Go. I'll be down in a minute. I know. His back hurts. I should tell him your story, and then he'll know.
Right.
And then
exactly.
Maybe it won't hurt as much. No, see, that's a hard ass pill to swallow, though, is to at least accept that and go with it. Yeah. Damn. So what?
you have my mind set up like this is what I want to do, right? I want to
Yeah.
go in law enforcement. I legitimately that was my goal. It's like I wanted to help people, and that's going to be my career for the rest of my life. And it was just taken away from me, right? In a sense, so I could sit there, wallow in self pity and beat myself up over it, or start a new chapter. And that's what I decided to do. And that's how Beyond the Dispatch started. Is I went back, I got back from the gym one day, and I'm like, you know what? I still can be in this realm in a sense. I can still give back in a sense, and this will be my new path. This will be my new chapter, and that's when I called Carey, and that's how BTD started, man.
Hell yeah. So, Carey, you like jumped in head first with him, like you were already pretty like hell yeah about it, or what
Oh
did it
yeah.
take? Yeah.
Oh yeah. It literally took him no time to convince me. I'm like,
Good.
you want to do
Good.
something? I like taking on projects. So he's
Yeah.
like, hey man, you wanna get involved in this project? And I'm like, say no more. Say no more. What is it? Oh, a podcast? Oh God. But yeah, let's do it.
Okay, go. Yeah. Didn't what? So you get that set up, and you're like, we're gonna do this, and I already see that you guys like got your own studio, you got the right equipment and stuff. Where do you see you guys selves going with it? Like, you're focusing on law enforcement and fire department, like basically first responder types, and then you're looking like what's the goal exactly?
So, yeah, I mean, realistically, like our whole goal is kind of anybody that's in military first responder, nursing, things along that line that deal with a lot of bullshit that not bullshit, but like a lot of stuff that you don't realize how it affects your lives. A lot of people in like these fields are stuck in this not stuck, but like in this mentality of you swallow it down with a beer. You know, oh, you had a tough day, swallow it down with a beer. Don't talk about it. You're not supposed to talk about it. You're supposed to, you know, always put on that brave face and whatnot. And you don't realize how much of yourself you lose over years of doing it until it's too late. You know, we got partnered up with real early on. We got partnered up with this QRF Up organization, and they kind of did like a little presentation for us to like show us what they're about. And we like me personally, I didn't realize the extent of like numbers of suicides amongst military, fire, police.
1 second, Carey.
And
Damn it.
no, you're good. You're
Second.
good. Family first, buddy.
Yeah, honey.
They're over it. They're like killing themselves down there or killing each other. I don't get it. I don't get it. We need to hire an IT guy. Put that ad up on LinkedIn. Hiring audio file.
For like $5 a month.
Yeah. Listen, we can't pay you now, but if we make it big, we'll be able to pay you.
Promise.
Yeah. Do you take IOUs?
Yeah, your turn on the TV.
Sorry about that, brother.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's our fault. We
Yeah,
No,
you don't have to
no,
apologize for
no.
anything.
No, they're like losing it.
We held you up for about an hour
yeah.
plus.
It's yeah. No, I'll jump right back into it. I think I got him chilled out with promises of ice cream. So
Oh, there you
There you
go.
go.
Our move.
Yeah.
Our move, brother.
yes. No, you said you got to go in, and then you actually paired up with what was it? QRF Up.
Yeah, so they found us, QRF Up organization. They're solely dedicated to reducing suicide rates amongst military and first responders. Um, but it was kind of eye opening when we were talking to them. We kind of did they did a presentation with us, and I didn't realize that 90% of all suicides in the U.S. are military, police, and fire. I knew they were high, like my own little micro universe. In like the fire service, I know
Same, yeah.
you're
I
always
didn't know it
hearing
was
about
that
it.
high though.
Neither did I. So yeah, it's just been like eye opening in that regard. And, kind of just excited to go down this path and hope that it does kind of break into that stigma of not being able to talk about everything. And Dominic here, he can attest to how beneficial it is to actually talk about the shit that you dealt with rather than bottle it up and realize 20 years down the road that you know you're not the same person you were.
Absolutely. At least the guys I've talked to, and then I've heard it on other ones, but when dudes open up about what they went through, whether it's small or big, it's therapeutic as hell, and it gets a point across. And if you can help anyone, I have my own details about that, but I'm sure with what you guys are doing, you're gonna reach people. Like we already talked about the numbers you guys are putting up, and those are great. Like I think you're reaching people in the right way, so it's a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. And Carey and I talked about this before. It's like if we could save one person, it's all worth the amount of time, the amount of money that we put into this, and there's just so much more that we really want to do with this. We have some pretty big plans for the future. We know we want to start raising money with the police force. I know we have like a fraternal order of police where I was a vice president of it, where we actually would buy Christmas gifts for needy families in the neighborhood or Thanksgiving dinners, and we kind of want to take that concept and bring it into Beyond the Dispatch as well. We want to give back as well to the community. We wanted to. We also want to show people that we are human as well. We have a sense of humor. We like to joke and drink and have a good time just like everybody else does. So yeah, we want to spread awareness for suicide and open conversations because that's what you need. But we also want to show the lighthearted side of first responders, military members, and all that stuff. Because like I guarantee you know how it is. You get into a group of guys in the army, and it's just like instant ball busting, giving each other a hard time. But it's all in good fun, man.
Oh
And
yeah,
that's what we want. We want to show that as well. That's why we really base our episodes of like just a free flow, give each other a hard time, but also not be afraid to get into the nitty gritty and talk about how things kind of mess with you. And in a sense, like this right here is therapeutic to me. I don't know about you guys, but this is like amazing to me. Like I love talking with like-minded people like you. You're a great dude. And I think this could also help other people open up as well.
yeah. I think it. I definitely think it's going to help people open up, and I'm glad that I can at least talk to you guys about all this stuff about what you've been through and then what you're planning to do, because that's like my big push right now is to get people to listen because it's to y'all because it's going to be awesome. I know you already got some shit lined up. It's going to be great. I can't thank you guys enough for coming on here and talking to me about everything. This was super
Dude,
awesome.
the pleasure's ours, man. I would have never guessed somebody would ask us like, hey, can you do an interview for me? Like that was never even a thought in my mind.
Oh no,
I figured we were.
it was so good. I was like, I really hope they respond because this seems like badass. And then you guys responded pretty quick, and I'm like, oh hell yeah, hell yeah. I have a lot of family. I wouldn't call them family, but I'd call them family. They're like very close to my family. They're all St. Louis
Right.
firefighters. So
Yeah.
never had the police, not really big police
You
guy, but no,
You do now, buddy. I'm
yeah, exactly. I got Dom. No, but I always, around the deer camp we have every year, and those firefighters are out there, and I always thought they were the heroes. Like they think the military's cool. I think what you guys like law enforcement and firefighters. I think it's just the craziest shit ever. So hats off to you guys. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for making this project, and I can't wait to see where it takes you.
Hey, thanks, man.
We appreciate you, and we appreciate you having us on, man, for sharing our stories because it means a lot to us.
For sure.
No problem, guys. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Have a good one.